Here we go. Oh yeah, baby. That's a nope rope. Holy cow. You know, at one point that actually said world's worst fishing. Okay, welcome back everybody. It is good to finally be back on video, back on camera, doing my thing. It's been about 2 weeks or something since I have been able to film. Yeah, you know, we've just had to take care of ourselves. I've been really worn out. I've had a lot going on. My weekends have been very busy and consisting of lots of family obligations and trying to find a little bit of time to rest my body. Being out here in this hot garage, you know, we're in the middle of like a heat wave going on, in case y'all haven't heard. And being out here has just not really been an option. So it's good to be back. Today we're going to try to recreate the impossible. Last week, I don't remember what day, I finally conquered the hand-poured snake. And you know, we've done some snakes on video before. I think we did a coral snake hand pour several months ago, but today we're taking it to the absolute next extreme level. And what a journey it was to get there. I've been trying to do this for about 2 years. I've been trying to get to this point for about 2 years. And you know, these are inspired by the great hand pouring master Jeff Peel. So shout out to him for having the vision that a worm could even look like this. But anyway, that's what we're going to be doing today, and let's see if we can recreate some magic. So even though these are worms, we are going to be using a very firm durometer plastic. This is Dead On Plastic's Black Bucket Craw Tube Blend. This is a medium hard durometer. It's one of my favorite plastisols in the world, right up next to their swim bait blend. Those two almost comprise everything I do. And then I also do utilize worm blend whenever I'm doing more finesse style lures. Now the Craw Tube Blend, you might think you would not want a firm plastic for a worm, but this is a really big worm and you want them to be durable. You know, I mean, we're about to spend a lot of time making these, and I just find that making them gummy soft like a gummy bear just doesn't quite do them justice. You know, it's a big mold, so it requires some beefy plastic. So one of the things I want to do with today's snakes is use a little bit less gold. So these came out a little heavy on the gold dusting. You can see that there's actually sort of this sort of this brick red, and then the whole worm is capsuled and filled in with white pearl. So today we're going to try to do a little bit less gold pearl and try to let some of that kind of brick color come through a little bit. That way they just don't look quite as gold and blingy. I think seeing more of that red color, sort of that brick, will make them just a little bit better than these and a little bit more natural. Alright, let's start this journey, and what a journey it is. So we are basically going to dip this culinary spoon into the black plastic, and I'm going to try to do this quick because actually you can kind of get into sort of a bit of a routine, and then we'll look at it after I'm done and see if I did a good job or not. So here we go. Alright, kind of getting there. Try to free this up a little bit. So I want to be able to scoop the mold up without pulling the plastic. When you pull the plastic, kind of like if you pull these tabs by accident, you will actually really mess up the pour. You can pull the plastic out of the cavity, and that's just never a good day. So now let's do the tails. Again, trying to go fast and be accurate and efficient with our tail striping here. Alright, we're just laying some black plastic in there. Just like that. Perfect. That's 1/2 of one mold, and that's just the black pattern, okay? So that is step number 1 for just one worm. All right, we're gonna try to do 8 for y'all on camera today. Hopefully that doesn't take too long, but essentially here's what we have. All right, so those are gonna be your tail stripes. If we just kind of get a worm out here and look, you can see some similarities in what we're doing. This obviously requires a lot of cleanup, and just I can't overstress the amount of focus that it takes to pull it off, but that's part of the charm. So just for the full effect, let's do the other side. See how much we can do here. We may have some landscaping noise in the background. I do apologize in advance. All right, now let's try to get this tail done. That's a lot of plastic coming out there. You know, I've found you don't have to be super accurate either. Sometimes when it's a little sloppy, it looks more organic, if that makes sense. All right, well, that looks like absolute chaos, but believe me, it is not. That will actually come out looking really good, I think. I think we're on a good track. Now comes the fun part. I have to clean all this up, so I have to like pinch each part right at the top of the mold where it kind of creates an edge to clean all of this off, right? Oh man, we have a lot of work still, but essentially all of the really intricate placement of plastic is done. Now we have to apply some gold pearl. All right, everybody, we are back, and we got to adjust the camera. Hold on. Okay, now we're back. So here comes the, not necessarily the hard part, but the tricky part. I don't want to overdo, to wear out the welcome of the gold pearl. So essentially, oops, here's kind of how I did this. I got a little bit on the brush and just kind of right on top of these, let's see if I can get it closer. Just kind of right on top of these black stripes that I put in, I just kind of powdered the mold a little bit. Okay? And if you'll notice, we're painting powder right onto the actual surface of the aluminum mold. There's no capsule down there first or anything like that. What'll happen is, whenever we then pour the actual plastic worm body, whenever we fire this mold to heat it up, to gel all the layers together, it will actually kind of thermally set that powder into the plastic. So whenever you pull the worms out, the gold pearl goes with them. It doesn't just stay in the bottom of the mold. So this is a really, really old technique called dusting, where we're dusting the molds. Not necessarily dusting like a capsule or a layer. A lot of people, especially in swim baits, they're actually capsuling, you know, a clear layer of plastic or maybe just a thin layer of plastic, and then what they wind up doing is brushing these powders onto the inside capsule layer of plastic, because the powder will actually stick to the plastic and you can do a much more accurate dusting job. Here we're just kind of throwing it in there a little bit. You know, again, organically sloppy is sort of my mindset, but you know, I also want to try to do a good job if I can and not overdo it. So, you know, kind of dust some around these stripes here and then move on. You know, dust a little more around there, but not just fill the whole thing in with gold. You know, last time I kind of went powder happy, I think, a little too much. And you really want to do this in a windless environment, or else what it'll do is it will blow the powder, which will then cover basically the whole surface. So we're kind of relying on gravity here to keep the gold powder where we place it. So essentially that's it. That's what we're doing for every single one of those cavities. And yes, it takes just as much time as you think. That's why, you know, just something that takes this much effort, time, and concentration is why you'll just really never see a lot of these floating around for sale. You know, I may pour a dozen of these a year. It's a lot of work for what is still just a worm, you know. And even though, you know, I was really flattered with the response, a lot of people asked where they could buy these. You just simply can't scale something like this. I'll never be able to make a bunch of these and sell them. You know, it's going to be one set here and there when I, you know, had the motivation to come out here and try it. So, you know, this is something that, you know, that I probably won't get to work perfect every time. You know, I'll probably have some that come out just kind of so and so, you know, or just kind of so. But anyway, I'll quit yapping here and we'll just kind of finish this one out. All right, there it is. All the black and gold is down. Now we have to build the brick color, so to speak, which is going to be the tail color and then the actual skinned capsuled part of the body. And then the last step, of course, will be to fill in the bodies with white pearl. To me, that just gives you one more layer of depth when you have that skinned capsule and then some white pearl under it to really brighten that color. You could obviously just solid pour them, but I like that one more layer of depth. So we're definitely not going to be cutting corners today. All right, time to build some color. So to make our brick color, as I want to do, because I really like the way that came out before, you guessed it, we're starting with a scupper nog base. So let's just get some nog in there. All right. See that scupper nog already has a lot of that brick tone. You know, it's kind of a funky pigment, you know. The more I heat it, the more brown it turns. It starts red and turns brown. Now we're going to darken it up with some black. Okay, so there's 3 drops of black. All right. I love combining scupper nog and black. I have found a ton of uses for that kind of for that kind of combination there. All right, and then maybe 2 drops of red, which will give it a little bit more of that brick color. Red it up just a smidge. All right. So as you can see, that's kind of the color right there. Now it's just sort of an issue of, is it saturated enough? So we'll just kind of take an aluminum surface, drizzle some out. Yeah, see, to me that's not quite there. So we'll just kind of do everything again, but not quite as much. So maybe 4 more drops of scupper nog, 1 black, maybe 2 more reds, just to get a little bit more saturation in the mix. So we'll leave our example here, our first little swatch. Yeah, all right. Now let's see how the next one does. A little redder, okay. Which I'm actually really digging that. That's to me, that is closer to what I had before. So I think we're gonna stop there. And last but not least, cannot talk today. We are going to season it with some square cut black flake. That stuff right there. All right, here we go. So what I want to do first is actually fill in the tail portion first. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and hand pour the tails. Just kind of fill in the gaps there. All right, just like that. Okay, that right there is looking good. We're going to kind of give that just a second to settle in. Actually, in the meantime, we'll go ahead and pour the tail on the opposite worm here. Might as well do something while we're doing nothing, right? All right. Looks good to me. And now we have to kind of let that one set as well, because we're about to tilt the molds, and we don't want that plastic to still be gooey, because then we're going to literally tilt it right out of the areas that it needs to be. And so basically now we're going to fill the body up in its entirety. Okay? So we're just pouring the whole body all the way up to the top of that cavity. Okay? And then we're dumping it out. This will capsule that cavity. So just give me a second here. Alright. Almost there. Alright, that looks about right. So now what you can see is we have a hollowed out capsule. That is now the skin, okay? And that is pretty much it. We're pouring the tails and capsuling the bodies. And then after that we have, a little bit more cleanup, just some leftover tabs and overspill. And then we'll be kind of nearing the finish line a little bit. Hey, now that's looking pretty cool. So, last part here. Zoom in a little bit. Got a bunch of gnats all over me. So, very carefully, let's fill in this body cavity with our white pearl. Just like that. Perfect. I want to underpour it slightly because we're going to get these molds so hot that the plastic will actually regel and expand. When things get hot, they expand. So if we slightly underpour everything, then when we thermally bond this worm together, hopefully we won't get a ton of overspill, because the plastic will actually try to then spill back over the edges of the mold, particularly in that tail section. I mean, you have fractions of an inch worth of depth in that tail. But nonetheless, that is, let me zoom out here. That is what we're looking at. And if I kind of take one from the other day, yeah, look at that. That's actually really close. All right, so we're going to try sort of a little time lapse here. We've actually got out our old cheapy pancake griddle because we don't really need a super flat surface. We don't need to use the expensive hot plate, and the pancake griddle just heats a little bit faster. So what we're going to do is we're just going to let it bake these things at just whatever temperature it does until these start to kind of gel again a little bit. And I'm just going to leave this running and then speed up the footage. That way you can sort of see a time lapse of what these things look like during this kind of thermal cooking session. So, see you then. So if you watched closely in that time lapse, you could kind of see the plastic starting to gel again. Everything just kind of looks a little shiny again, smooth. It kind of smooths out in that cavity. And then you could see a little bit of overspill as that mold got hotter and hotter. So right now what they're doing is they are cooling down on some aluminum plates. That basically just takes the heat from the mold. And then we'll have to kind of trim those edges to clean them up. And then we are finally done. Alright, so here's what I mean by kind of cleaning up those edges. Just like we did while the mold was cold with the black striping. This entire kind of overspill, and you'll develop really thick skin in your thumb there. But basically we just want to go around the edge of the mold. You can use a razor blade too. I just kind of prefer to just go on with my thumb. It just comes right off. There again, there's not one part of this process that is not super sensitive and time consuming. So, it's a lot of work for a worm, but hey, you know, fortune favors the bold, right? Or brave, whichever one. But, you know, if you want to do something extraordinary, don't be afraid to do it in a small mold or a tricky mold like a worm. It doesn't have to always be a swim bait. Some of your best work, some of your most complicated work can be in a little teeny tiny worm. It doesn't have to be, you know, the biggest, baddest mold that you can find. So, time to do a drum roll. All right, here we go. Not going to drum on those molds because I don't want to like hit the worm, but drum roll please. All right. How did these come out? You know, I'm kind of nervous because so much work went into this. I just really want it to look good. So, here we go. Oh, yeah, baby. Yes. 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 Sorry, we're a little too zoomed in. Sweet. We got it. And of course, you don't have to even use gold. You know, you could use a highlight powder in place of the gold and get a completely different looking snake. You know, a lot of the comments I got were that these looked like rattlesnakes. They looked like copperheads. They looked like snakes that don't even exist. You know, a lot of people had a different interpretation, but the realism of them, I think, especially from the way that we dusted the powders, yeah. Check this one out. This one came out really good too. Yeah. There it is. Yeah, this one has less gold pearl in it. You can see more of the red, especially in the sides of the body. A lot of the gold goes to the top because it naturally sinks down into the mold. But this one right here, if they all look like that, then I think we did a little bit better than the ones the other day. All right, looking awesome. I am not going to cheat y'all out of watching all of these come out of the molds. So here we go. Oh, just look at how cool the black striping that kind of goes down those sides looks when it kind of is combined with the gold pearl dusting, which kind of gives you this random splotchy look, and then sort of that charcoal up underneath. I absolutely love it. By far the most realistic snakes I've ever poured, and you know, combining several different techniques here. You know, dusting and, you know, the culinary spoons, all sorts of stuff. Yes, sir. These are absolutely creepy snakes. And I would imagine a bass near you would love to take a stab at something like this. Yeah. Here we go. 2 from that mold. Yes. Yep, overall, I'm more pleased with these than the first ones because what I'm seeing is there actually is less gold pearl. You know, there might be a one-off here and there that you know, I just kind of got too much powder in there. But if we just kind of look again, let me just grab a few from our set the other day. Just lay them next to it. Definitely more gold pearl, particularly in the bodies. You can see over here, a lot more of that red is coming through in the bodies. Over here, there's a lot more gold, which some people may prefer. I just wanted to get a little bit more balance between the gold and that brick color, and that's what we were able to do today. Now, you know, looks being subjective, of course, but I knew that I could maybe get a little bit better balance and not just completely overwhelm the body with so much gold. And yeah, I'd say that is a hell of a success. All right, glamour shot time. Let's get some close-ups. Yeah, check out the tails. Some of them are folded in, but I kind of let some of them hang out the back. Yeah, just look at all the cool details. The way that the layers kind of thermally blend there. All the different colors. And, you know, you can kind of see how that it kind of looks like it's brightened a little bit, the colors inside the bait, that's from the white pearl inside. That gives it that depth to where it kind of fades from dark on the top to a little bit lighter on the bottom. It's just one more layer of realism, one more layer of depth, and that's from capsuling the worm instead of pouring the body solid. Okay, we did it. It hurt. It hurt my soul, but we put a hook through one of these, and the next available time that I can take this down to a pond and film it in the water, we will do it. I think they're gonna look really cool. Look at that, y'all. There's a bass right there, right at the tip of my finger, swimming through looking at these bluegill. I've been throwing the snake at him. He kind of came over and checked it out, but he didn't quite want it. Let's see if I can get another throw on him here. Hold on. Let me try to get the camera. He may just spook off because he's so close to me. Oh, come on, dude. Oh, he backed off. You don't want a snake? Ah, see, the snake's too realistic. He's scared. Alright, let's kind of zoom in a little bit. See if we can get this creepy snake. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Yep. That's a nope rope. Holy cow. Oh, creepy. It looks so real though. The black stripes really pop in the water, as does the gold. Let's kind of swim it through here like a creepy snake. Yep, that's pretty creepy. What do y'all think? I definitely want to see some other bait makers try this one out. Be amazed what you'll come up with. Yep. That is scary realistic. It looks very creepy. I keep saying creepy. There it is, y'all. We finally conquered the snake worm. Alright everybody, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope y'all enjoyed just the insanity of trying to put all of that into a worm, and man, watching it swim in the water made it all worth it. I want to do another challenge. I want to try to do a really authentic hand-poured pinfish in some of the swim bait molds. You know, a lot of people have been asking for saltwater colors, and that's like one of the ultimate ones. So if anybody wants to see me try a pinfish, like 3 years ago I did a pinfish video where I did it all in powders with a paintbrush. Now I want to see if I can try to pour it and maybe combine a few other techniques, but definitely try and do it better. So if you want to see that, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for being here. It's good to be back. I hope everybody stays well. Take care of yourselves. I sure know that I've had to rest a lot lately. I was just overdoing it. I can honestly say I was just stretching myself too thin, but it's good to be back. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. See you next time.